Hello, everybody. My name is Barbara, and this is Bridges to Gamma podcast. And today I have a guest. His name is Shiv. And I would like to talk to you, Shiv, about this, what you are doing in life, what you are passionate about, and then to go deeper into the construct of human body, but also the construct of human consciousness. So I know that you talked before about how our energy system and our body is actually a machine, but how do you see our consciousness, our immortal part, our spark, if you will, connected to that body is interesting as well. So how about let's start with telling a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where are you based, and what are you passionate about? What is it that you do in your life?
Thanks, Barbara, for giving me an opportunity to have an interaction with you. And about me, who I am, I'm an ordinary human being, just a normal human being. But worldly wise, I'm now retired. I should say I'm not working, but I'm following my passion of spiritual exploration. I'm creating content on my YouTube channel. I had written 3 books 2 years back. So presently, I'm actually only thing I'm doing is creating a content on my YouTube for sharing my experiences and knowledge. Otherwise, I belong to India. I was born in Varanasi, a city which is pretty famous in religious and spiritual world. And I did my electrical engineering in 1989, and then I joined the Indian Navy. So I worked in the military for 16 years. I retired in the rank of commander. And then I worked in IT and telecom companies for another 16 years, which that's about like companies like IBM, Tata, and Reliance Jio. These are the big groups. So last I was in Reliance Jio, I was assistant vice president looking after network security of the company. And then I worked in 2 small jobs in charge of a factory. And then I was for about a year in charge of our hospitals for veterans. And in between my corporate job, when I left my corporate job, I went to Poland. I was there for 2-3 years from 2019 to 20. And then after post-COVID, I had to come back to India due to some personal reasons. And I was actually teaching their meditation. I took meditation classes, philosophy classes in Warsaw. And I also taught in some other countries, some retreats and workshops. So that's about me. And that's all I think.
Great. Yeah. So we just give our listeners the background. So you are a meditation teacher, and now in this time of your life, you can invest all your time and energy to teach, basically. And you do that through the YouTube channel. So this is why we meet, because you are looking to share your wisdom, share your experience. And so the first question from that line of questions, so know more about you. I know that my guests are come to this podcast, they usually are like, oh my God, the who I am question, the about me question is usually difficult to make it fun. And so it's already behind us. And now let's focus on the juicy stuff. So as a teacher of meditation, as someone that got to know the yogis in Himalayas as well, what is your take on human energy system? So our chakras, our nadis, because in our modern world, it is very popular to, for example, focus only on the heart chakra or working for a long time on opening, on cleansing chakras. And it seems that this is something magical or something we are still learning to see it as a natural part of our existence. So how do you see this? What is your take on the chakras and the energy system?
Frankly, I never explored this chakra part. And as you told, I was teaching meditation in Europe. So that time I was teaching only the philosophy part. I was not at all into teaching chakras. And why I was teaching meditation was because I had attained, I would say, I don't know which is the right word, but I did reach some state of mind. And how I reached that state of mind, and it remained kind of permanent. That state of mind is pretty stable, which is kind of devoid of thoughts. mostly. And so I have some level of mind control, I would say. And I don't say that it's devoid of thoughts. There are thoughts, but not multiple thoughts, not parallel thoughts, but sequential thoughts. So if I'm thinking about something, I'm only thinking about that. I can totally focus on that. Nothing else interferes with that. So that's something which I feel. So I also understood, being a science engineering graduate, I also could relate with modern science and have some kind of analytical analysis of how it happened, and or probably it just came to me somehow. I don't want to talk more about that. And I thought this can benefit others. So there was the urge to also understand how there are so many seekers coming to India, especially in Rishikesh, where I used to go. So I had this urge to go and share this knowledge. And it was all yoga, asana yoga, and I thought meditation is something which is the ultimate benefit. Even if you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there are 8 steps, Ashtang, and in that 7th step is meditation and 8th step is Samadhi. Samadhi is like when you go to a total purified state of mind. So that these are state of mind. So that was the reason I was actually focusing only on that. Now coming to chakras, your question about energy body. Recently, like as you asked what exactly you're doing now, like I am actually making content, but it's not just that I'm making content. There is some kind of self-inquiry which is still going on, and I'm trying to analyze a few things about the human body and the human creation. So there is not a very organized way of doing it, but it keeps happening whenever the conditions are favorable at a given point of time. So brain waves do flow, and sometimes I do get some analysis, and sometimes I'm able to capture it. Sometimes it just goes away and I don't record it and all. So chakra, I used to hear, like I was new into yoga and meditation when I was teaching somewhere, I would say from 18 onwards. And I was exploring these various aspects of yoga and all the science. So I also used to come across chakra healing, chakra meditation, focus on this chakra. But I never came across anyone who could say with conviction that he knows what is chakra. It was all on, what I could figure out is it's all on hearsay and beliefs. There are books, but who has written the book? Has he also copied from somewhere? Is it his own knowledge that he has visualized the chakras, he's understood the chakras, has he understood the science? I mean, till the time you don't see something or something doesn't happen to you, if you're not very clear about it, then why do you share? Because if it's not your own knowledge, as they say even in scriptures, that your own knowledge is direct knowledge, which you have explored yourself. But if it is not your direct knowledge, you are just read some book and now you're teaching, or you are believing because you went to some course and somebody said, I'm going chakra healing, or I'm doing some chakra meditation. So you go and attend that, and so there is a like kind of a, it's like epidemic. So it's like an epidemic, and everybody's talking about it, but nobody's going to give a convincing answer about have they really seen chakras. But if somebody can give a logical, scientific explanation, then it makes sense to discuss that and really figure out that how do they really matter to us in life. When I did a self-analysis inquiry and a couple of days back, what I realized, I was doing about pranayam and the energy, because I made a video which will go online on 18th of May. That was about human body as a machine. So when I was doing that analysis, what came to me that if you do a comparison of a computer with a human, it looks very vague. But like human, the computer has a CPU, and CPU does all the controls. It controls all the other devices or all the other elements which are there on a computer, maybe the input keyboard or input sensors, and there is output screen, or there can be some other output which can be connected to the computer. Like now we have IoTs, Internet of Things, so we have connected device. So there is a central processing unit which has different, which has got memory and all. If you look similarly, we also have brain, which is actually doing all the functions of the human body. There are different devices, there are different systems, neurological system, digestive system, respiratory system, and so many systems. But they don't function because there has to be a central unit. And if you see, this logic flows everywhere. Even if you look at the military, there is a commanding officer who's the central guy who does all the decision making and who finalize all the policies. you have prime minister in a country who is the final authority about all policies, and also he's like a CPU for the country. So we have that kind of a protocol, and it happens very logically. When you create any structure, it flows through the same logic everywhere. So there is some hierarchy, there is some protocol, there is some logic, and that's what the science is about: protocols, logic, assumptions. And that's how the scientists also arrive at various conclusions and do all the discoveries. It's not that gravity did not exist and Newton just created it. He found it. So when there are the truth about life is to be found, discovered, and many scientists discovered many aspects. Like Einstein was a great spiritual master also, and a scientist also. And if you talk about the scientists, Rishi Munis in India, ancient India, we call them Rishis and Munis. They were also scientists. They were also doing self-inquiry. Like just now, I heard another famous guru's talk, Pandit Sriram Sharma. He was talking about Einstein. He said Einstein never used to open the door. He never allowed people to come in. When he was doing his self-inquiry, he wanted total isolation, no interruption, no disturbance. So people used to drop visiting cards in his letterbox seeking appointment, but he didn't. He just ignored everyone. So he was not there to please people. Similarly, when these Rishi Munis went into this deep meditation in the Himalayas, they did deep inquiries. And then you do logical understanding with analysis, and you get those answers. So my analysis coming to the chakras was that we also, like the computer has an energy system. Every device which even the humans create, that has to be energized. Now coming to human also needs energy to function. Now, the first function is the brain. The brain needs all the energy. Then all the other devices also need the energy. So where is the main source of supply? It's probably that is what we call Kundalini. And then if the prana is coming from the breathing. So prana is also, because if the prana goes, the energy source is removed. So I think that is the cosmic connection we have with the consciousness, to the unknown universal source of energy.
Yes.
Now that energy is actually given to maybe we can call it a battery. We have a inbuilt battery, which is getting charged, or maybe a human energy source, which is getting charged from the cosmic energy. And the moment you remove the prana, the body stops functioning. Why will the body stop functioning? If the energy required to function, the body is removed, then only it will stop functioning. We call it medically cardiac arrest, this arrest, but it is basically the unplugging of the system and making it non-functional due to non-availability of energy. Now, if you have Kundalini, suppose the center of energy, and then obviously it has to distribute the energy to different parts of the body, and which part will require how much, probably all that has been already pre-programmed when the human body was created. And anything which is created has to be designed. So God designed like various species on this planet. Everything has been designed by God, or whatever you call it. Like some people don't believe in God, they can call universe or the super creator, or whatever it is. So I'm not getting into that controversy, but I'm saying that whoever designed obviously will create all this. And if you look this analogy between different devices, it's pretty much same. Everything has a pretty much same structure. So coming back to Kundalini, or the source of power, there has to be a distribution system in the body which will distribute the energy to different parts of the body. And that's what we probably call it chakra, without really understanding what exactly is that. So when the energy, so there are probably different distribution centers. And if you see, like when we generate electricity, we create a electricity generation station. And then we create transmission system. I'm an electrical engineer. I've studied this pretty much in detail. Energy, power generation, transmission
I
system.
get you. Yes. And first thing that I have to say is this, that I totally don't mind to read the wisdom or to learn from someone else and then practice it and experience it by myself. So for me, this is not a bad thing at all. If I am inspired to read a book or to read about chakras, for example, and many people get to know about chakras first, especially in our Western culture, because we were cut off at some point from our nature and maybe get too much busy in the work of the career on the outside. But it would be a good starting point to learn from someone else about this, to get the information or to read about this and then experience that in my own self-inquiry practice or meditation. And as I feel chakras, when I meditate, they, of course, as you breathe in the prana through meditation, and you can feel how the energy, you can tune into the energy movement in your body, it becomes apparent that those wheels are connected with that energy movement. However, I also discovered that each chakra level is connected with emotional level, with a consciousness level, with a different connection to a different sphere of life. And that became my own experience. Like if I work on fear of survival, for example, you know, financial fears, I wouldn't like automatically, if I close my eyes and start to meditate, I feel, for example, that the energy is leaking through my root chakra. So I think once I learned about it and experienced it, it was very easy to tune into. However, I can see that your idea about this, that, you know, comparing is to the engineering and having the distribution system and the battery, normalizing it, making it like, yes, this is the part of your body, this is the part of every other body on this planet, and this is how the physical is connected to the non-physical, providing that energy sources that move the physical, that animates the physical through prana or kundalini. And then if you have all of the other elements, the body, the earth, the air, all of the other elements, but you will not have prana, it will not be alive, yes? It will not move. So therefore, we need, if we would only have body without the chakra system, we probably couldn't kickstart the spark of life. What do you think?
So you're right. See, I spoke about the source of energy. I spoke about the prana. And you can't have prana without a distribution system. So there has to be a distribution system. So when you are talking about emotions and connected to energy, that's something which I teach actually in my philosophy. So the connection of energy and emotions is something very different. And that's
fascinating. Let's go there, please. Let's hear more.
So what happens is, why when we say we have negative emotions, so emotions is all, you know, we are like, we can talk artistically and we can talk also scientifically. It's upon a choice. And this whole creation is a science. This is not an emotional creation. This is a very scientific creation, because the world cannot run on a random emotions. It has to run very scientifically. So I think I feel it's very logical. People may disagree. Whatever I say, I'm not making statements. People will disagree, agree. I'm not here to, we are not, you know, these are not debates. These are all viewpoints. I always say these are my understanding. I never say, you may disagree with what I'm saying, but you may go back and think what I'm saying. If I'm saying that this universe is science, scientific creation, it has to be done very scientifically. It cannot be random. So maybe somebody might disagree. So when I talk about that, when we have a negative feeling, why do the negative emotions come? Why do negative thoughts come? That's something which I teach. And when we have a negative thought, what happens? The brain will create an output which is a negative thought. The negative thought is output of the brain. Brain is not supposed to create negative thoughts. The brain is supposed to create only those outputs which are required for the body. If something not required for the body is being created, which we can call worries, again, artistically, and if I say scientifically, negative thoughts or negative output. So these are all, the thoughts are all energy, because the energy is created in the brain, because brain is processing a signal. So when I get a signal from any of the sensory organs, like from the eye or from the ears, if I hear something bad, then it straight away goes to the brain, and the brain tells you something based on how you have been conditioned. The same signal coming from different people may be processed differently based on how they have been conditioned. So this is the conditioning part. So if the conditioning is different on different people, the output of, by each brain will be different. So it is basically the programming or the operating system which your brain has been fitted with. It's a different operating system. And so I'm again coming back to, I'm talking a little more little technically rather than.
But this is great, Shiv, because this is really simplifying. People try to figure out and I come from a different perspective a little bit regarding the emotions, but I really back up and I understand how you come when you say about this, that universe is made with plan, with structure, you can see that everything is precise, is like as a science, like everything has to be accordingly to certain rhythm, let's say, yeah, it has to agree. And then when you say about, when you really clarify this in this way, it can be helpful for people who are really tangled in the thoughts and emotions rising like waves, to just say, look at your programming. How were you conditioned is how you deal with the challenges in your life. And that is making it very simple and clear. So I believe that that can be very helpful for people who are on the self-inquiring journey to actually understand how it works, yeah?
Yeah, see, this is the problem. Thanks for, understanding. And see, this is the problem which I saw while I was visiting these ashrams in Rishikesh. And this is the problem I saw, that people don't teach what people actually need. And what people are teaching, also, they just don't know what they're supposed to teach. Like somebody just open a shop and start teaching about chakras. And probably there are a million, I don't know, thousands of people who are teaching about chakras, thousands, or I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people are teaching. But what I found is very simple. And when I teach in a very, very simple way. And the best thing is, like, I got it validated, because whoever got taught by, whom I taught, I could see positive results immediate, and very excited. Like, the people were really excited when they really got into the depth of it. Like, I was teaching in Spain, it was a 21-day course. First 5 days they were confused, because I have to go in a structured way. The first few days were very confusing for them. They just were taken aback that what is this guy teaching? We thought meditation is something else, and what he's talking, he's doing only blah blah. But after 5 days they were so gripped into this. And in Warsaw, I had wonderful students, because they understood this philosophy and they were in it. So right from the very first class, there was a great engagement, and even a 90-minute class used to go on for 3 hours, and it was mutually agreeable type. That we can't end this discussion in midway, because this point has to be explained today itself, and you can't leave it, halfway.
It's
So
working. It's working for if it clicks, it's working, and also it can also work if it's caused the resistance. Yes, if only there is enough awareness to recognize the resistance as well. So, could you tell me a little bit more about this? How you see this intelligence, or that created this organized universe, or as you say, God, or as and maybe how you came across this connection. Was it always apparent for you in your life, or is it a realization, a connection that became more apparent through your self-inquiring journey?
yeah, this is a very, very deep science, which I think will become very dry for a lot of people, how this creation came into existence, and how. So this is when you are talking about consciousness. If you have to really go to consciousness level, and you have to understand this world is an illusion, it's an imagination. So now, why do we call it imagination? So there is, it's like a wave. In the ocean, there is a wave. The wave comes and goes away. A wave comes and goes away at different places, a different kind of wave. So all this creation is like a wave in an ocean, but we are all inherently, the wave is inherently ocean only. It's a form.
Yes.
So it's a form coming out of an ocean. So what we are is also a form manifested through material science. We are a manifestation of material science, and what people have told is 5 element, and it does look logical, because there seem to be basic construction. Like, if you construct a house, you need some basic construction material. If you construct something else, you have decided this is required. So when God decided, if I have to create different species, if I have to create plants, like people are modifying fruits, genetically modified. If you do some modification, if you do some changes, like if you see chemistry and biochemistry, you make changes, you create another different isotope, or you create those clones, or different compounds, chemical compounds, which have a different function. So as you do chemical reaction, you create chemically. So there is a material science, there is a material science. When we create different metals, different metals have a different objects, different devices have a different requirement of metallurgy. So there is a metallurgy branch of metallurgy. So there are different science, even modern science, but the universal science is much more advanced, because obviously modern sciences still has a lot of limitations. And probably in ancient times we did discover some metals which people still can't identify that what technology they use, what knowledge they had to create such kind of material. So we are a physical manifestation, and there is a source of energy, which is consciousness, connected through consciousness, manifested through in a form. And why is this form there? This is an imagination. Probably this is some kind of imagination of the creator who decided to create this. And we are like a wave, and ocean is like constant. So this like recently somebody said that Big Bang theory, the only theory which we have heard of is Big Bang theory. There was a Big Bang, but there was not a Big Bang. They say this is infinite, consciousness infinite. It has, and even Einstein's theorem also says energy cannot be created and destroyed. So how can that be possible? Which the idea which I got was, the thought which came to me was that we are in a circle. If you look at a circle has no beginning and no end. So I use this theory to say that the creation is like a circle. And we also talk about life cycle. So everything has got stipulated time. We have some time frame of being there and going away. We are all events. If you see, everything is like an event. A wave is like an event. We are also like an event. So we are a form created out of material science and merge with source of energy to be there in for the time we have been defined. Now, how much time has been defined for each? That is something. Now this will get very deep.
Go. I'm just excited because I have another question, but please go. And yeah.
So this will get very deep, and so that's why this is an illusion. Now I'll say why is there an illusion. I made a video about illusion also. It's there on my channel. Illusion is not that you don't exist or I don't exist. We do exist, though we are temporary. But if I don't think about you, then you don't exist in my world. My world is whatever is there in my mind. So I can remove this world from my mind. Because if I become inert and I become non-dual, I realize this is how does it matter? How does this world really matter to me? We are here to perform some actions, and those actions are now based on my social responsibilities. We have created a social system. It evolved, and we created a social system, and God also created men and women. So when God created men and women, a social system evolved around that.
Yes, and it seems that there is a lot of energy going, because like in modern society and on my own journey, the idea that comes from Course of Miracles, or like the really, really big push on this, all is an illusion. There is only one dreamer. Why it would be my temporary ego? Why, like, the Course of Miracles, for exactly, teaches there is only you, nobody else. And I go like, why you, John, and not you, Mary? This is temporary ego. The oneness that exists is nameless, timeless, but it takes the shapes of all of us, as you beautifully described with the sea. But at the same time, there is a little bit of more technology that comes into play, because the DNA is created, the blueprints are created, and the physical form of life is created for us to experience. And then the same like you, I don't really have to know how it works exactly, but I love that connection that I have with this nameless part of life, and that freedom that comes with this, that this space and this body is just temporary, and it's gonna disappear back to the ocean. And I often see this misunderstanding that the only dreamer that exists is me, Barbara. It's like, no, that's the temporary thing. The true creator that exists, the total intelligence, is having all of our faces, all of our experiences, and it's the place when we are all connecting. Yeah. So I think there is a little bit of misunderstanding that is repeated in here. But
Yeah.
I'm fascinated, I'm actually fascinated about this. I know that to believe that this world is real, that's an illusion. Yes, we are forgetting about the infinite part of life. But I'm fascinated with this, how this physical world is created with the blueprint of DNA, with all this connection, physical and spiritual, and allows us to have that experiences. So we can dive into the experience of being, you know, in the corporate world, or having a self-inquiry and reconnect to oneness. Yes. And it's amazing journey. It may be a bit of a bumpy ride for in the beginning.
Yeah. It's a learning process. Basically, we are all learning because we have been conditioned and we have to recondition, purify, empty. If you want to cook another meal, you have to clean the vessel. Otherwise, you can't. It won't be good. So if you really want to cook something very interesting, which people will like, or you'll also like, then you have to clean the vessel. First thing you have to do is clean the vessel. So we have to clean our mind, which has been conditioned very differently. So first of all, we have to know that our mind is clean, our vessel is dirty. We don't know. We are actually working and cooking and using the vessel again. Like if you come to India, you go to a small roadside tea stall, they don't clean the vessel. They keep making that. It's something like that. So there is a hygiene issue. We are externally very hygienic, but internally we don't follow any hygiene. We don't know we need hygiene. So internal hygiene is very important, and that's the most important aspect of mind. I'll tell you something another very interesting when we are talking about the creation.
Yes, please.
Like we say, I was going through NASA websites, and I had a conversation with a nice NASA scientist I think a month back. I was trying to understand that these scientists, how much do what have they explored, and I'm also right now trying to figure out about light, speed of light. I'm doing some kind of study on speed of light. Why is speed of light considered constant? How have they calculated the speed of light, and how do they define light? So I'm doing some study on that, but not discussing here now because it will become very dry subject. But I'll talk about, like people say that there is no life on Mars, there is no life on Mercury, there's no life. Because we guess there is extraterrestrial, but extraterrestrial means whatever is not Earth and is existing somewhere, whom we really don't know. There are a lot of stories there on the YouTube, because I think YouTube is filled with stories, but I think there is no known facts, known documentation, known research on ETs. And obviously, we don't have those perception abilities, or visual abilities to really see extraterrestrial on a proper basis. Not like that I just cited a ET. It's not about that you suddenly cited an ET and you created a story, but cited and found and seen by all. It's not that one person cited it. So I'm talking about the point is that we are not probably the way we have been designed. We are designed to operate in a certain range. So that's another area I can talk about long. We are designed to operate in a certain range, frequency range, energy range, and some kind of range which obviously have some limitations. Now, to believe that there is no life on Mars, we landed a rover on Mars, spacecraft on Mars, and we through our devices we could not see anything on Mars. Now, it is not necessary that what we cannot see and perceive within our own frequency range, there's nothing existing. So we cannot deny, we cannot say no, but we can be probably agnostic, or we can also say logically there may be some life there which is not visible to us. It is created in a certain way. They are at a different dimension, different plane, operating in a different plane. Like in Buddhism, they say there are 32 planes, and the topmost plane is God. And if you look at scientifically, probably they have seen those planes. They have visualized and probably seen. Even in scientists or Rishi Munis in India, they did see. They say we have a what they call it, astral form and suksham form. We are different realms in this universe. So people have traveled to those realms. Yes. There are so many stories of near-death experience and out-of-body experiences. Even I had some of those experiences. So not a topic now to talk about that. But the thing is, the ability to see those life on those planets does not exist, has not been given to us. In fact, I saw recently that there are insects. There is one insect which stares in the sky. They have different vision. They may be having different vision, different perceptions. How can we say, that day there is an owl which comes in the night, just the tree outside my house. And I was remembering that people say owl can see in the night. Then I was wondering, how did we say that the owl can see in the night? Did the owl tell us? How did we come to know the owl can see in the night? So if we agree owl can see in the night, then obviously he has been given some capability. Similarly, our species don't have that capability to really say that. So if we agree that there are some supernatural, the different planes where people are, the life is there in the universe, and there are maybe so many solar systems because there are infinite number of stars, and there are solar systems around all stars. So there might be life, and maybe we are a creation of some other species. Some other species might have created us. So if some other species has created us, they are more superior to us, and they might have been created by somebody else. So there may be different level of species which are there, and finally leading to God.
Yes, but yes, I can see your point there, and it's very interesting idea within the spectrum that we have as humans. What we can see, what we can hear, what we can taste, and like butterflies or bats, for example, they can hear and see in different way. But at the same time, the spiritual practice, the yogic practice, the pranayamas, they are designed to open up your body and connect you to the energetical body and give you the capacity to use certain tools which are available if you progress on your path. And then you can hear about people that do the astral travel or have spiritual experiences, and this wider spectrum of consciousness becomes available for us through this practice, which I find fascinating because we never trapped. It's only if you focus more on the limit, or if you go like, okay, how can I connect to the infinite life? And then you will always find a way to pierce through that veil, yes? Because people did. Like there are practitioners that had the experiences, and as you say, near-death experiences as well. There is so much life around us, which would be the spiritual life, which I think the separation, to call it spiritual, something difficult to achieve, is not needed really. I think that it should be normalized, that it should be explained more, and that it should become more available and more like a common idea for people that we can go there. What do you think?
See, whatever experience people have, and that doesn't become a proof, because nothing will become a proof if it is only an experience, because we can always categorize that as an imagination also. There is always a possibility to say that might be an imagination, or maybe you're doing some practice, but you really don't know how it is, what is it doing to you, and why and how. If you don't understand, then it remains there only. It doesn't get proved, or it doesn't get clarified to your own self, and then people start teaching that based on that experience. Like if I had an experience, different experiences, and I don't relate to those experiences at all. I have an explanation for those experiences, why those happen. So basically, when we work on the mind when it is cluttered. So the whole idea is, the purpose of life is, first thing is to be happy. And we can only be happy if we don't have negative thoughts. If we have become non-dual means, duality is that we are living in fear, we have anxiety, we are living in future and past, we are living in duality. We are not living in non-duality. We are having fears, we are having expectations. So these are the feelings which are actually controlling us. And when we can clear that, the mind is cleaned. As I spoke about hygiene, mental hygiene. When we clean the mind, and how many people have really cleaned the mind? So all those people who have those experiences, are their mind really cleaned up? If your mind is cleaned up, it's available to you. So basically, rather than being a slave of your mind, you make the mind your slave, or the brain your slave. Mind is actually nothing. I have a video on mind also. There's nothing called mind, frankly.
I like to include mind as part of my experience, but it has to be clear. Yes, it has to be aligned. I don't see it like fight against the mind or fight against the ego. Mind is a tool, and it's a useful tool for me. But I find it amazing how you just put over the shift that, you know, we can be happy without negative thoughts. And then the answer is non-duality. And I can imagine how that could be triggering for someone. But the thing is that the negative thoughts do not disappear. But when you move to the non-duality, you see the good and bad in a different way. It's not a struggle anymore. It's not a game. And then automatically you're kind of calibrating towards life, towards inspired action. And you are not bothered by this, which you would be bothered by if you are locked in the limited reality without the wider spectrum of spiritual life, without the net of non-duality. So it's a tricky one because you can reach that level of consciousness and yet you do not evaporate from physical life. You're still here, yes? So the negative thoughts might come sometimes, stuff is happening, but because of the spiritual journey, you have the perspective of non-dual to see it as progress, to see it as life and movement, and not as disaster happening to you, which is, I think, the true power that we can reach. What is your point on that?
Yeah, perfect. I totally agree with you. See, this is a journey. This is a learning. We have to go through this learning, and that's why self-inquiry is the best thing. Because self-inquiry is I will say the thumb rule. Like in physics, we used to have. I don't know if you know this thumb rule thing. Like there is always a main rule that whatever we see which is happening in our spiritual journey and what we are trying to learn, we should always find a justification and explanation for that also through a self-inquiry. We should not be just going to believing system, and whatever is happening and doing, you should also see the reason behind why it is happening, which I would say, because without that, how will you understand what's happening to you?
Exactly.
Now,
And for me, this is what is, for me, sorry, see, for me, this what you just said means including the mind.
Yeah, whatever we're doing, like, and like, this is what I teach, how to remove the negative thoughts. That's my core of teaching. How to remove negative thoughts. What is the design of human? In fact, I have now made a video on human design. So I have almost 12 videos, 20 videos lined up for release till August now. And there is a queue because I release only once a week. I don't keep releasing that. I'm thinking of changing the frequency because content is increasing a lot, because I keep getting, oh, I should make a video on this. I should make a video on this.
The inspiration is coming in waves.
Yeah, I have nothing else to do, so I'm just living a retired life, and though I'm thinking of going back to the Himalayas, but let's see. So the point is that we have to understand how to remove the negative thoughts. They can be removed, but they cannot be removed overnight. It's a long process, because as whatever practice anyone is following, any tools people are using, any techniques people are using, any books they are reading, they're doing with a good intention. But all this will take time. It's like a treasure hunt. I've been using this example everywhere now. It's like a treasure hunt where you are getting clues and you're moving and you go wrong. And then you're navigating, basically. You're trying to navigate. And it's not necessary that everybody will navigate in the right same way or reach faster somewhere. It's not a race also. This is not a race. And probably there's a journey of the soul which is taking you. It's not our physical age of this form, but it's the journey of the soul, which is ultimately, as I told about purpose of life, that one is that live happily, and second is to get liberated from this cycle of birth and death and probably merge back with the consciousness. That's very difficult to understand. But if you come into that feeling of being consciousness, if you disconnect with your body, and now this is a quality of detachment. So there's a detachment which has to be understood, and then actually the non-duality comes, actual non-duality comes, and the whole illusionary world actually dissolves. This world stops bothering us actually, because it's based on expectation and all those kind of desires which we have, an ego of not understanding all these expectations and greed and desires and lust. So when we go into this detachment from our own body, and then the realization happens that we are actually consciousness. When that happens, then we can probably understand this life cycle of death and birth and our disconnection with this physical world. Then we understand the consciousness part, and then we start viewing the whole world very differently. So that takes time, But I think everybody needs to put in that effort. The first thing I feel is cleaning up the mind, because if you don't clean up the mind, if it is still filled with, it's still turbulent or filled with too many worries, because we will have worldly worries. There's no denying there. Everybody at different stage of life will be running on the treadmill. So how do you stop running on treadmill and still live your life? That is something, because the simple thing is we have made our life very complex. That's the only problem. This materialistic world, the modern world, with day to day, it's becoming more and more complex and less of love. I mean, there is no warmth, no love, no harmony, no caring, no empathy, no compassion. All that is gone. It's only greed and ego and materialism and exploitation. It's basically we are in a stage of exploitation and opportunism today. So in such a stage, how do you survive? So there is an issue of survival. So with more and more challenging situation, the trust in survival and surrendering to the universe and understanding this universe becomes more and more difficult. So the situation gets more and more difficult to really understand the reality. And we are trapped in this because we feel that it's only the money which is going to run the show, but we don't understand how the animals are living. We have created our own complex system and we are all in a trap. We are trapped in that.
We became too complex.
Yeah.
Yes. I see. Yeah. And so regarding that journey of the soul and the journey of consciousness, and so you gathered that now when we created that over complex modern society, it is more difficult to go through these levels to actually understood the consciousness. But then when you do, you're still in your physical body here, but you are not bothered at all, because you see everything through different lens. Yes, so you attach to the flow of life, you connect to the flow of life from love, not from that greed and fear and control. So I wonder if you think in terms, because you mentioned that the first step is to cleaning of the mind, and before you said that our conditioning is the programming. So in the way you teach, would you offer something like reprogramming? What is exactly that cleaning of the negative thoughts?
It's actually reprogramming. Like if you have a computer and you put an operating system, over a period of time, there are viruses coming in, there are software bugs. So there's a team which is constantly working on bugs. So we have many bugs and we don't know those bugs. There is no one telling you that there's a bug, and you also don't want to accept that you have a bug. So you continue living with the bugs. So you have a malfunctioning system making you function in this world. And I'm just saying scientifically, but if you look, we have these programming, the upbringing, the grooming, different people groomed in different places. It all depends upon what your parents taught you, what kind of company you had, what school you went. If you live in Poznan and if you live in a village somewhere else, so it will be different. Person conditioned in New York will be different. Person conditioned in probably Japan will be different. So people are different. There is a lot of alignment, but there are many differences. So each individual becomes so different. And what should 8 billion people on this planet be all different? Though no, the creation, we just human. So there is a design for us. Are we aligned to that? Where is the reference to operate? Every device we create has a reference. If we change the frequency of the mobile phone, it will not catch the signal. It has to operate in that range. So we are also supposed to operate in a certain energy range, frequency range. So if we detune ourselves, then obviously we'll not operate in that range, and that's where we go wrong. The conditioning now, why the conditioning has gone wrong is also a big science, because this is a changing cycle of the planet. The creation which is there goes through changes due to the rotation or revolution of the sun and distance of planets. So that's the celestial science. I'm planning to make a video on that. That's a different discussion. It's a very, very difficult subject actually. And that's where I was trying to understand quantum physics here. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. But so the problem is that there is an impact of the solar, the celestial bodies, and the revolution, the movement of the planets, and how this actually affects. So somebody has revealed this And there is a book available, Holy Signs. In fact, in my book also, I've written Social Pandemic. I've written about this changing dynamics of the people and the habits and the thinking and the mental development, the physical development of the people in different cycle of the sun's revolution around the another star for 24,000 years. So it is divided into 4 quadrants, and we call it yugas. So we are in Kali Yuga as per that. But that's also a belief system. But it may be true, it may not be true. That's this. I don't have any scientific explanation, but I have some logical explanation about this. And because of that, our tendencies are like that. And our tendencies are like that. And when we go through these sufferings, worldly suffering, it is there to change us. These are the lessons given to us. We call it suffering, but we are supposed to learn from this and then purify. That's the whole idea.
Yes. And it's the moment you remember the bigger picture, it is easier. But the resistance in the beginning of the journey can make it difficult. So that's why every single, like you mentioned, there is 8 billion people of the planet. We are so different. Everybody has different conditioning. And then there is a bigger picture, as you talk about the influence between celestial bodies. And it's all the manifestation of consciousness, yes? It's all the consciousness that is going through the cycles. And it is or learning something new or as just enjoying its creation. I wouldn't know that at this stage of my journey. I don't know why we are here, but something tells me, like you said, about the inspired action, the creating from love after the mind is clean from the conditioning. So all this is very interesting, and every single teacher is definitely needed here because so many of us is trapped within all of these negative thoughts, yes, and then this is infused with stress, and we're just creating more and more limited. Like if our full spectrum is in here, I think many of us is still trapped only on that level, yes. And then with self-inquiry or with practice of yoga or any pranayama spiritual practice, you can widen your spectrum within, you know, the limits that we have as a created as a human. So that's the spiritual journey for me. But please tell us, we are nearly an hour here. So you mentioned that you have your own YouTube channel, and we will put all of the information in the description box beneath this video so that people can find you. And if anybody would be inspired to reach out to you, what is the easiest way to get more of that wisdom?
See, there, like I was teaching, and I would like to get back to teaching in Europe only, because I do see that the people are more serious seekers, sincere in Europe, and my connection happens very naturally with the people there. And India, I'm making a statement like a statement. India, somehow this has not happened with me that I teach, and connecting with me. I have my contact details in the YouTube channel. I have a mail ID. I had a website, but I just closed the website just 2 weeks back, 10 days back. I did not continue it because it was not meeting the expectation which I had from the website. But I'm on the LinkedIn now. I have reopened my page on LinkedIn 2 years before I deleted my social media accounts, Facebook and LinkedIn. I have just reopened it because I feel I can have my repository of information on LinkedIn, which is now working more like a social media site. So that's what it is. And one more thing I want to tell.
Please do,
which is little different. Like yesterday I saw some video, some young girl was making that I will be very happy if somebody aligns with my values. I said, no, see, nobody can align with your value. We all have to align to certain set of values. That's the difference. And if we all think that somebody will be there to align to my value, then that's an ego, because we don't know whether I am also aligned to something, and what is that actual alignment. And then we have a resonance. We have a resonance with the universe. So if we are not aligned to that value, which is aligned to the universal consciousness, then we'll be out of synchronicity. We'll be out of resonance, and then nothing will happen. And when we talk about manifestations only happen when we are in resonance with the universe, and only those things will happen which are right. It's not that if I am now aligned to the frequency and I can create anything, I can manifest, because I can't manifest something which is negative. So the universe resonance does not give any space for negative things, bad things.
Yes, that is very beautiful about the values and the alignment. Are we aligning with the universal force, or are we aligning with our personal needs and trying to harness the creative powers to manifest something? So thank you for that wisdom, Shiv. And again, this is Bridges to Gamma podcast, and I'm sure that this video will be available on your channel as well. If anybody has any questions, please reach out in the comments or find Shiv on his LinkedIn, or just comment under his videos on his YouTube videos. Please like and share if you find that interesting. If you want to challenge us or myself or Shiv or any of these ideas, please do so as well. It is welcomed. We would love to hear from you. So again, thank you very much for coming to the podcast and sharing a little piece of your work, of your experience from self-inquiry. Is there anything else that you would like to add in the end?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, Barbara, because it's a very interesting podcast, I would say. I have attended few more podcasts, and I think we did not get into that mystical discussion about my spiritual journey, but we actually focused on something which is actually more needed by the people. And we had some very interesting topics, which till now I have not really discussed in any podcast. And this is what I was looking forward to discuss. Maybe we can have some more topics if you feel, and I feel through your channel and even through my channel, we'll be able to reach out to people and we can make a difference, because that's also a kind of a social responsibility we have in a society. As we evolve, we also should, you can't be happy, and you can't, you can't be Bill Gates, but all around you, there is unhappiness, you can't be just happy alone. You have to be happy together. So this is the main intention, and I'm really, that's my mission kind of thing. That's what I want to do. So right. I'm really happy with this podcast, and very good discussion we had, and very nice topics we discussed. I think.
Thank you
and there
so
are a
much.
lot more. Yeah.
Thank you so much for reaching out and coming in here as well. And I think that I could use now what you just said about your mission for the beginning of the podcast, when I ask you who you are and what are you doing. So sometimes it takes time to warm up, and for sure we will find time to meet again. And I'm somewhere down the line to discuss more of the subjects. If it's flowing, if it's make it easier to express the ideas, if we both find time, we can definitely meet in here. All right, Dilship.
Yeah. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening over there.
Sure,
and I'm moving on with my plans for today in here. There is quite a few hours of difference between us. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation. All right?
Me too. I also look forward to more conversations. Thanks, Barbara. Bye-bye. Wish you a nice and take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.